What's up, Bassketeers? Josh Fossgreen here, and today we are going to take the major triad and minor triad arpeggios that we learned in the last few lessons and make some music by combining them together in a little reggae progression. So to follow along with me and play some reggae today, please download the PDF. It is free. You can click here and you can download it. Ba-dum-bum. So what do you say we just play this thing and then we will analyze it and do all that good stuff after we get going here. So we're in the key of C minor, starting on the 1 chord, going to the 4, back to the 1, then doing a little flat 6, flat 7 chord action. Okay, let's get started here. We're going to get a 1 bar count off and then we'll be right in. 1, 2, 3, 4, E, and up. Okay, let's analyze the harmony here, because anytime you're playing anything, it really behooves you to understand the harmony and understand what notes of the scale you're playing, what chord you're on, how what you're playing relates to the other instruments in the band, because when you've got that going, it's so much easier to make intelligent musical choices versus just thinking 3, 6, 5, and then you have no context. It's so debilitating to not be able to know how what you're doing fits in with the band. So, in the interest of that, starting out on a C minor chord, playing the root, and then octave, 5th, 3rd, root. So just playing the minor triad arpeggio there. Then we're going to the 4 chord, playing the root, then we go 3rd, root, 3rd, 5th, octave. Okay, so again, just roots, 3rds, and 5ths, plus the octave, which is just the root in a different octave. So again, just using the minor triad arpeggio on the F minor chord. Then back to the C minor chord, we play the same thing. Then on the A flat major chord, we use an A flat major triad. And then we go to a B flat major chord, so we use a B flat major triad. Just in slightly different arrangements. On the A flat, we go root, 3rd, 5th octave. Then we scoot up to the B flat, we go high octave, 5, 3, root, low 5th. Okay, so every single note in this bass line is part of the major or minor triad that corresponds to the major or minor chord that we're on. It's a really simple way to create bass lines that, as you can hear, sound pretty cool. You know, we could make it a little bit hipper if we added some other notes in there, but this is a totally functional, wouldn't get you thrown out of a band kind of bass line, and all we're doing is seeing what kind of chord do we have going on here. Okay, it's a C minor chord. Well, how about I use the C minor arpeggio that has all the same notes as the C minor chord? It works out really great. So let's talk about the rhythm before we play this one more time. So there's a lot of 16th notes going on here, as is very, very common with reggae bass. So we're starting out with this figure 1 E and a 2. Okay, 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, and 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, and triple it 2, 3 E and a 4. So there's not too much 16th note syncopation here, but there is a little bit of a mixing of the triplet feel on the A flat chord, bum, 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 and then on the B flat we go back to 16ths, bum, 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 bum. So it requires you to be able to take a pulse, do-dun, do-dun, and subdivide it, dun, 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 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which can take some practice, and I won't get into a ton of detail on that now, but being able to mix the triplet feel and the straight 16th feel can be a really cool thing to do on a funky little reggae groove like this. I know how to say words. Let's play this again. 1 bar count off. 1, 2, 3, 4. and a 2. Triple at 2, 3 and a 4. This lesson is mostly about integrating these major and minor arpeggios into musical context, but just since we're playing in the reggae vibe, I just want to tell you a couple little tricks that I use to try to sound more reggae-y, even though I'm not using a reggae-y setup, okay? If I were using a more reggae-y setup, I'd have my bass rolled all the way up, my treble rolled all the way down, I'd use really old dead strings, my action would be a little higher, etc. I don't really like to do that stuff, so I try to get as much of that effect as I can with my hands. So what I would do if I were actually playing this, first of all, I would probably move some of these notes down to higher frets on lower strings. Like that first C chord, I might play down here, because you get a thicker, fatter sound from your lower strings versus... Okay, so that sounds already a little bit more suited to reggae bass, which is a pretty fat, tubby kind of sound. The other thing that I do, which is really important for me on my bass, which has a very kind of active, live sound with a lot of mid-range and treble in it, not a lot, but a substantial amount, is I do a little bit of left-hand muting, kind of like, I guess I mainly stole this from Rocco Prestia from Tower of Power. You'll see him fretting with his first couple fingers a lot, and then using his higher numbered fingers as kind of a mute below the fretting note. So you might have noticed on the C minor chord, instead of just fretting in a way where I don't have to shift, I went like this. And that's because if I'm fretting with my index finger, I can leave a little bit of finger on the string below where I'm fretting, and then it sounds like that versus that. Same thing there. So you can do a ton of muting by resting fingers on the string past where you're fretting, and I do that a lot to change the tone that I'm getting from my bass. Okay, so that's something you can play with if you want to. If you would like more assistance learning how to move around fluidly with triad arpeggios on the neck, not to mention 7th chord arpeggios and a bunch of scales and other stuff, I really encourage you to check out my latest book, Electric Bass Scales and Arpeggios. It's got a lot of the kinds of exercises that I did to really learn my neck and be able to move around in common types of harmony without getting lost or stumbling, and actually starting to know what I'm going for, and lots of good stuff. So I really recommend that you check that out. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back at you soon with more bassy goodness. Be well, and talk to you then.